What happens when a CNN panel is confronted with the brutal truth? Scott Jennings delivers a reality check so sharp it leaves Bakari Sellers speechless. But this wasn't just about politics. It's about a clash of ideologies that's been building for months. Jennings exposes a crucial legal distinction that's been completely ignored by the left, while the American people start to tune out the endless rhetoric. So why was Bakari Sellers so caught off guard? And what's this explosive revelation about Joe Biden's presidency that no one's talking about? Stick around, because the truth might just shock you.
Here's the bottom line. The people in this country this year had access to more information and fewer gatekeepers than ever before. And I think they kind of liked it. And I think that's what people want. They want less gatekeeping and more access to information. They're tired of being told things that we all can see with our own eyes that are not true, but we just have to walk around and go, okay, I guess we have to buy into it.
But I mean, it's over. But is that the example? 1 second,
okay.
Real quick. But I want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing. Like, you see for your own eyes things that we know are not true. But the 47th president of the United States today still believes he won the 2020 election. Can you agree with me tonight that that's not true?
Of course, I've long said Joe Biden won the election.
So why does he say that?
I don't know.
I mean, that is not a fact. That's
That's
disinformation. That's not accurate.
It's not disinformation. Joe Biden was clearly the president, and tomorrow he won't be. Thank God.
Yeah, but I mean, it is disinformation for Trump to continue to say he won the 2020 election.
So what? Are you saying that he can alter the past by saying
no?
what he thinks?
Giving you an example of what we're talking about.
Bakari, your party just engaged in the biggest cover-up in modern American political history on Joe Biden. It's all coming out. We all now know that every Democrat knew it, and you and everybody else came on TV and lied about this man's condition. I don't want to hear it. Well, the Biden cover-up is the worst thing we've seen in this country in your or my lifetime.
First of all,
and political misinformation.
That is hyperbolic. And
it is not.
It's not only hyperbolic, but it's actually incorrect. And yes, I wish I hadn't been around the president. I wish I would have known that he was not in the condition that he was.
Do you not have a television and eyes and ears?
First of all, I didn't see it until the debate.
We work on TV. He's on TV all the time.
But you also just want to sit here and say that is the biggest of misinformation we've seen, the biggest cover-up, the most hyperbolic and sensationalized incident that we've had in American political history in you and ours generation or lifetime. When you sat here on January 6th and did not believe that the person right there should be president of the United States or run again in his human lifetime.
It was a terrible day. It was a terrible day.
So we're going to sensationalize this, because I can actually sit here honestly and say that whoever covered up his infirmity in the White House, whether or not he is going downhill fast or taking pills for whatever it is, early onset Alzheimer's, dementia, whatever Joe Biden's going through, people who knew about it and covered it up, they should be able to have their day and have their consequences and accountability.
They just had it on election day.
All I'm asking you for is that same, because 140 officers were injured. People were killed that day on January 6th. So for you to sit here and say that is the biggest cover-up, I would simply say that people saw with their own eyes people storming the Capitol, and that as well is an issue that this president is going to usher in and wipe away.
Here's what I lived through. 4 years of Trump, then I lived through January 6th, then I lived through 4 years of Biden, and me and tens of millions of Americans processed all of it and went running back to Donald Trump, because you cannot put the same people back in charge who just ran the country off into the ditch.
What you just said outside of the ditch part is actually a fact. But if you're going to sit here and minimize...
We're in it. We'll get out of it tomorrow.
That's fine, whatever. But if you're going to minimize January 6th, right?
I'm not minimizing it, but I have to take it in with everything else I know.
No, I'm saying we were talking about disinformation and misinformation, and you accused me and everybody else of a cover-up when you sat here and minimalized January 6th.
All
I'm saying is, listen.
I'm saying it happened, and
my bad.
I
didn't mean to touch you, Scott. Right. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go.
You're doing it again.
Let me tell the viewers something about these two. They actually really like each other, and then during the commercial break, they're chatting, they're talking about the football game. But I think that was a really important conversation, because obviously you have very different...
Of course, I was a part of it. I mean, if Scott went here, it would have been better.
Well, I'm going to wrap it up on that point.
During the campaign, Donald Trump said that he was going to bring prices down. Today, he simply said, you know what? Those prices, particularly grocery prices, are not going to come down. I don't know if you have children, but if you do, if your children tell you if they tell you one thing on one day and then they come back and tell you that's not what's going to happen, that is considered a lie. That's first. The second thing is, just from a very, very 50,000-foot view, one of the things we know is Scott was actually 50% correct. And that Democrats did not do a good job in telling our story. We did not do a good job of addressing the pain that Americans felt. We said one of the mistakes we made throughout Biden's campaign was Biden's presidency was saying that inflation was transitory. Like, those things were not accurate because there are people who were out there feeling the pain of the price of eggs, feeling the pain of the price of whiting, like my dad at Piggly Wiggly. Those things were real. What Scott was not accurate about, which kind of happens around the table sometimes, although I know you want to be.
Don't touch me.
I can't touch you now.
All right, everybody keep your hands to yourselves at the table.
All right, but one of the things Scott was not accurate about, there was a reason why we have inflation in the first place. This is not Joe Biden's policy.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
This is. It's
Sure
actually,
it is.
Of course it
it's
is.
actually no. Of course it's not.
Putting
Because
$2
you know
trillion
what?
in the.
Do you know what? Do you know why?
The clash between Bakari Sellers and Scott Jennings highlights a broader issue in today's polarized political climate. Sellers, a prominent left-leaning voice on CNN, often leans on traditional political narratives. As the political landscape shifts, these familiar arguments increasingly fail to address the growing concerns of everyday Americans. The night before the inauguration, Sellers attempted to resurrect these outdated talking points, unaware that the country was already moving on to more pressing matters. Scott Jennings, known for his candid and direct approach, took advantage of this moment. Instead of engaging in the usual political back and forth, Jennings goes straight for the heart of the matter, upending the typical narrative. His straightforward style disarmed Sellers, setting the stage for a more meaningful exchange. It's this authenticity that has earned Jennings respect, especially in high-stakes debates. To grasp the significance of their exchange, we must first consider the ongoing debate over one of the most divisive events in recent history, the January 6th Capitol riot. Despite years of political and legal battles, no formal charge of insurrection has been brought against Trump. Instead, most legal challenges focus on the aftermath of that day, which is an important distinction. Recent polling data paints a clear picture of shifting public interest. Initially, 43% of Americans, regardless of political affiliation, believed Trump held significant responsibility for the events of January 6th. However, more recent figures show that less than a third of Americans now strongly disapprove of Trump's actions on that day. This decline in interest suggests that Americans are increasingly focused on other issues that have a more immediate impact on their lives. Whether due to fading memories of the event or the emergence of more pressing concerns, the reality is clear. January 6th is no longer a top priority for most voters. This shift signals a broader political mood, with issues like economic policy, healthcare, and national security now dominating voter concerns. The energy that once centered around the Capitol riot is now being redirected toward the matters that voters feel directly impact their daily lives. There's still one critical question that hasn't been addressed, and it's one that Scott Jennings doesn't shy away from answering. On the state of the Biden administration, Jennings highlights a glaring issue that other media outlets conveniently overlook. This isn't an exaggerated claim. This concerns the sitting president of the United States, someone holding the most powerful office in the world. And yet, toward the end of the election cycle, a shocking revelation came from the Wall Street Journal, which reported that key Biden aides had been managing the administration with a diminished president for much of his term. It's like the pilot of a plane had been asleep for most of the flight while the crew kept it quiet. The analogy is striking because it highlights just how much behind-the-scenes management has been required to maintain the illusion of a functional presidency. This reality check, which Jennings boldly acknowledges, is something rarely, if ever, heard from left-wing media figures who tend to protect Biden's image. The debate takes an even more interesting turn when Bakari Sellers, known for his animated expressions, almost escalates the situation. Sellers' tendency to get worked up, especially when his arguments seem to falter, doesn't go unnoticed by his fellow panelists. It's not the first time his hand gestures have caused tension in debates, and this instance almost ignites another heated exchange with Scott Jennings. Sellers' signature style of defending his points with forceful hand movements has made for some awkward moments, including this very one on CNN. What makes moments like these so captivating is that Scott Jennings refuses to play along with the usual narrative. Instead, he breaks free from the echo chamber, offering a fresh perspective that often challenges conventional thinking on the network. His ability to bring depth and substance to the conversation adds weight to every point he makes. For those who appreciate a thoughtful and direct approach in political discourse, these moments are not just entertaining, they're enlightening. It's moments like these that prove the country is undergoing a significant political shift, one that reflects the growing frustration with the same old narratives. And as the nation evolves, so too does the media landscape. Whether it's shifting priorities, changes in leadership, or the way the American people are engaging with politics, it's clear that the old guard is starting to lose its grip. Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to share this with others who need to hear it. The American people have always been adept at seeing through the noise, identifying what truly matters to their well-being. With so many issues at the forefront, from the economy to healthcare, national security to personal freedoms, it's clear that voters are prioritizing the issues that directly impact their everyday realities. The political landscape is changing, and the American public is no longer willing to be distracted by divisive tactics or empty political rhetoric. As we move forward, staying informed and engaging in meaningful conversations about our country's future has never been more crucial. The shift we're witnessing isn't just a passing trend, it's a fundamental change in the way we view leadership and governance. The days of getting lost in outdated narratives are fading, and the focus is shifting to the practical, everyday concerns that affect all of us. If you want to stay on top of these developments and gain deeper insights into the political shifts shaping our world, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss what's coming next as we continue to break down these important issues and provide the kind of analysis you need to understand what's really going on. Share this video with your friends, and let's keep this conversation going.